welcome to another episode of Made with Mosca. Today we are going to start the construction of the dovetails to join the four parts of our carcass. We are going to make the pins first, which I know is different from the vast majority of the tutorial you will see on the net. Later on we will explain why we choose this strategy, but before explaining this and demonstrating this, we are going to take a look at what kind of tool do you need in order to create these joints. The tools we are going to need are a saw, Japanese or Western style is up to you, a fret saw to remove the vast majority of the waste, some chisels and a mallet. For tracing we need of course a meter, we need a marking gauge, we need some squares, a pencil, and optional we have a magnetic guide and a router plane to pair the cut we're going to do. We have taken away the up and the bottom parts, and the remaining parts here are the left and the right. We need to create the same width at the piece on the marking gauge and trace the line for the pins. The first one is a very light pass, and then deeper and deeper. The first one light, deeper and deeper. Okay, before starting the layout of our pins, let's talk for a minute about the dovetail layout. The question is, what are the common points in all the nice dovetails that you're going to see on Instagram, on Pinterest and all the social media? Well, in my opinion, except of extraordinary execution, it's the layout. A handcrafted dovetail must be elegant, and an elegant layout of dovetail, in my opinion, is narrow pins, wide tails. So we need to obtain this kind of layout in our piece, and there are literally different thousand different methods in order to do this. Here is my method. So here you can see that I have already marked the layout. So we have got this part to remove, okay, and we have got, as I stated before, wide tails and narrow pins. Of course, we are not going so narrow now in this project because this is softwoods and it's not very easy to go so narrow in softwoods, but to me it's narrow enough to obtain a nice effect. Okay, let's start. We have placed our marking gauge and at half a centimeter, okay, and we are going to mark the left part and the right part. This will be our half tails, sorry, half pins. Okay, here we go. Then I mark the center. What I have done here, I measure 1 centimeter left and 1 centimeter right from the center. And I decided that we are going to make our full pins 4 millimeters wide. It is totally up to you. So we are going to mark 4 millimeter here and 4 millimeter here. Then we are going to trace the vertical line up to the marking line. And trace Okay. Okay, now we need to take the measure from here to here, split in half, and make another 4mm pins. Okay, as you can see, we have split this distance in half and measure 2mm on the left and 2mm on the right, which is 4mm wide pin. And then we need to trace this line up to the bottom. And last part, trace on the face of the wood. Then that mark the waist always. In this case, it's not so important to split the line, leave the line, cut the line. While it will be fundamental when we are going to cut our tails. Okay, now we need to remove the waist of the tails. In order to do this, we have two options. The first one is to go directly with the chisel and remove a lot of waste. The second one is to use a fret saw and remove the vast majority of the way with this tool. Then we have less material to remove with the chisel. In this video we are going to use this second option. We have removed the vast majority of the waste with our fret saw. Now it's time to tackle the marking gauge line. For doing this, of course, we need some chisels, and we are going to apply a simple rule. We are not going to put our chisel on the marking gauge line as long as we can divide the distance between the waist and the line in half. The time that we are not able to do this, we can put our chisel directly on the marking gauge line. Otherwise, if there is too much waste remaining and we hammer it, we are going to crush the fibers, and we are going to pass the line, making a big mistake in dovetail making. So, with keeping this rule in mind, let's go with the chisel. Okay, now we need to remove
the final part of the waste. In order to do this, we can attach plywood scrap up to the baseline, and with our chisel we're going to create a smooth surface.
Okay guys, we made our pins, and we will now ready to make our tails, but we're going to make in the next episode. A brief summary of this episode. We have traced the pin, we have cut with the dovetail saw, and then we have removed the vast majority of the waste with a fret saw. Then we worked with a chisel. Following a very simple rule, as long as we can split the distance between the marking gauge line and the waste, we are not going to put the chisel directly on the marking gauge line. Once we are not able to do this anymore, we are going to put the chisel on the marking gauge line, and we're going to work directly on the line. Please be aware of the fact that we are using softwoods, and ironically it's more difficult to make dovetail on softwoods than on hardwoods because of the fiber tend to crash. The last suggestion I give to you is to have a strap on your hand. It's MDF with leather attached on it, and to do this kind of job in order to have a freshly sharp chisel when you are working with softwood. For this episode is everything. See you in the next one, in which we are going to make details. Ciao a tutti!